So you've got to stop beating yourself up about making strategy mistakes on the golf course, because the pros do it too. And they'll tell you more right after the logo. So whenever the best players in the world come close to our West Coast Edge headquarters, we got to go out there and get you the cheat code. And we're doing it here from the LPGA Tour. And we can't just have the players here give you some information. Let me walk down the street real quick and get you another guy that knows about the code. And look who I ran into here just down the road at Stanford. This, of course, my brother from another, Andy Walker. And Andy, it was interesting talking to the pros just a few miles down the road at Sharon Heights and getting that sense of expectations. You know, as an amateur, I think, okay, all the pros, they always make the right decision. That clearly isn't the way golf is played.
It definitely isn't the way golf is played. What we really try to do is manage our decisions. You know, we make a plan to make great decisions, and we don't always, you know, pull off that plan. And that kind of goes into execution a little bit, right? So I think sometimes if we don't make a great plan, but we still hit a great shot, we think we're thinking well. And you're going to kind of see Lydia talk about just that portion right there, is we try to make as many good decisions as we can. We try to execute as well as we can, but we don't always do that.
And that's Lydia Ko, former #1 player in the world. And even she knows you can't be perfect, even in the mental game.
How often do you make strategic mistakes, or what you would consider strategic mistakes, in a round?
Hopefully not often. And if I do, not repeat it. That would be the second thing.
I'll say this, it's a good week if we don't make a strategic error.
Okay.
But throughout the week, maybe like 1 or 2 to 3 that we would really regret. Like that's like, well, that was like very obvious, and then we slipped up. And so if we can minimize that from like 2 to 3 to 1 or 2, or maybe even less to 0, that's a really good week.
How often do you play a round of golf where you don't make a strategy mistake?
0. I mean, you can think right, but at the end of the day, like, you still have to execute. So it's golf, and it's very easy to make mistakes.
If you do make a mistake, don't let that carry on until the next one. And then if you are in a similar circumstance, try and not repeat that mistake and learn from your mistakes. And I think that's what you just become slowly better at, just being on tour a little bit more. But if I told you I don't make any mistakes anymore, I'd be lying.
Lydia Ko was just spitting bars the entire day, and all the other players, they all fit together. And one thing really stood out with you with Patty Tavatanakit, didn't it?
Well, I love how she says you can make and think, you know, the greatest decisions and think clearly, but if you don't execute the golf shot, then it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to kind of play devil's advocate. We're coming down the stretch of a tournament. We're in an uncomfortable environment. Things are starting to get fast. You think about winning, you think about losing, you think about the repercussions. Now all of a sudden you're supposed to make the most clear-minded decision of all time. So when we have a really good game plan in place beforehand, and you can look at your yardage book, right? You can pull this guy out and you can look and says, you know, make a good swing with 3-wood at that left tree. Now all of a sudden it starts to settle you down. It kind of makes the decision for you. So a lot of time when we're talking about making good decisions, we're talking about a plan that's made well before we get there. That's done in the previous year's playing, that's done in the practice rounds leading up to the tournament, in the Pro-Am or whatever it may be. All of that information is helping you make a sound decision when you may not be your most clear.
You know, and Lottie Woad, who's going to be a dynamite amateur, is going to be a great pro. She was talking about the fact that you got to use those 3 days, those practice rounds, to really get locked in on everything. And what you're describing is, in the heat of the moment, having a plan already gives you that level of commitment that's necessary to pull off a shot when things get tight.
100%. And you know, more than that level of commitment, it's a level of confidence that I'm making the right decision. And you know, sometimes when you see it, I tell all the guys, you know, all the time with the team is, I'm your little shot of confidence. Every time I come around, I need to be of clear mind to help you make the right decisions. Well, when you see that you've done that yourself beforehand, now all of a sudden, you know, you're free to execute because you have a level of confidence that I'm making the right decision. I've already written it down, so I've already planned for this. So it kind of slows you down, gets you a little bit more into the moment. right? You're not thinking future, you're not thinking past, you're thinking about this shot at hand, this is our plan, and let's go in and execute the best that we can.
And that's something that Anna Nordqvist, a major champion, has talked about, and she shares her vision of that level of commitment.
I always feel like you got to make the best decision in the moment that you believe in, and you try to execute it the best, and like that's really all you can control.
I mean, are we like trying to be like perfect? If I'm being like really nitpicky, like yeah, like it's like everyone's not gonna hit it where they want to all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It sounds like you're a perfectionist.
A little bit.
It's understandable because at the end of the day, it's just human error.
Yeah.
So if you can make a mistake on your game, sometimes thinking, being 5 hours out there, 4 hours to 5 hours out there, it's, you get tired. So it's understandable. As long as we're not doing it every round, that's good.
I think you also have to accept, I mean, there's so many factors that we can't control with the wind, maybe gusty winds, bounces, it's an outdoor sport. We just try to do our best, and then that's really all you can control, and then I don't think you can really have any regrets.
So we're sitting here on the third tee of the Stanford Golf Course, a place that you hadn't seen in 30 years, right? You have so many experiences in the game of golf. How does experience help you or hurt you depending on how you're working in terms of strategy and commitment?
Well, so now we go into scar tissue, right? And we're going back into history. Coming back to these places, what I really try to think about are the good shots that I hit here.
Right.
And when you think about the shots that you could have done better, now it's always learning, right? I'm not thinking about, okay, I missed it right here. I'm thinking about I need to hit it left. And that's where the notes come in, into play. You don't have to be a tour player to make a good game plan.
Right.
You all play your home golf course, every week. You play different golf courses. You know what your tendencies are. When you write these things down, now you have a game plan. Hey, I'm on the 16th hole. I'm 2 down to my buddies. Out of bounds right, water left, and I've sliced it the last 5 times I was in this situation. We have a little bit of a game plan. Maybe that's not where we need to take the ego out and hit the 3-wood up the left side and really play for a score. So, amateurs have the ability to think like a professional.
Over the years, how has your strategy changed?
I think there is a very fine line, because when you first come on tour, you're almost naive to everything. And you don't have like the scar tissue from golf.
Go with your gut with what feels right at the time. I'm usually an aggressive player, so I tend to be a little bit more aggressive when I can be, or if not, I just, fairways, greens, and good days.
But you didn't always have a caddy, so what did you do before that?
Just play golf. Didn't really think of anything when I was younger, just play. Yeah, see and shoot, like shooting hoops.
When you're younger, you're a little bit more fearless in the sense of, like, you don't think, oh, that could equal this potentially in a bad outcome. You're just out there free, just trusting yourself, which I think is good because you play with a little bit more freedom.
There was a period where Lydia Ko was the #1 player in the world, and then her game fell off a little bit. And she tells a story about how she got some really good advice to think forward in her career and not look back at who she was.
I think I'm able to handle the bad situations a lot better. And like, if I am nervous, just kind of take that more in and not think of it as like I'm trying to fight it. I can't fight the wind. I can't fight spectators. I can't fight, having nerves, but I can handle those things better. So it is different in that sense. I think when you're young, like you have more freedom because you don't know also what's on the other side. But now, having experienced both sides of the rainbow, it still sucks when you play bad. I mean, if anybody says otherwise, they're lying, because I still want to play well. I want to excel at what I do. I want to compete at a very high level. All of those fearless moments, and some of my scar tissue from golf, and overcoming that makes me the player I am today. And the player that I am, a year from now is going to be a little bit differently too. So Stacey Lewis once told me that, like, I think in like 2017 or 18, I was struggling, and she was like, don't try to be the person that I was when I was #1 in 2015 or 16. And I think that was just the perfect way to put, like, I'm never going to be that two same person, and all I can do is be the best person and best player I am in the present. And I think her saying that to me was like a wake-up call.
Andy, the wake-up call part of that is so critical. And it's, to me, it just shows how today's golfer is the most important golfer. Maybe the next most important golfer is tomorrow's golfer, who you're going to be as a player.
You play golf, it's a roughly a 5-hour round, right? If you're going to go out and shoot 72, you may be actually hitting 3 minutes of motion of golf. So you've got 4 hours and 57 minutes to kind of mess yourself up.
Yeah.
If you choose to.
Right.
Well, I tend to look the other way. We have 4 hours and 57 minutes to convince ourselves how good we are. And so that's where the notes and the positive reinforcement that we write down in the yardage books. You'll never see me. It's so funny. I had somebody say, "What's that in your hand all the time?" Every picture I see you with this thing, and I was like, "That's like my Bible out here, right?" I mean, it's my notes, it's my confirmation, it's my information, and it's my way that I can keep every player on my team settled down. If I come to a hole and I say, "Hey, in the morning, from 157, you hit an 8-iron, it was 6 miles an hour into the wind, you hit it this far," we step up with that level of confidence. So we can either choose to use our time productively and focus on the really good things that we want to do and be the person that we want to be in the future, or we can look in the past and look at all of our failures, which we can also learn from. So no matter what it is, let's start to make more emotional deposits than emotional withdrawals.
Let's make sure you have that cheat code in your back pocket so you'll play the best golf that you can play.